Hello, hi, and here we are with my little astrology video for the month of August 2016. And what a powerful month this is. I was just sat here thinking about what I was going to say, and I thought to myself, I'm going to have to be really careful here because I need to steer a line in between frightening everybody to death and letting them know that they need to be mindful of how powerful things are this month. So we'll see. If you're still here at the end of it, then I managed to do that. If you're not, then I frightened you to death and you pressed stop before I finished. Anyway, it is a powerful month in a powerful year, and this powerful year comes at the end of a powerful period. We'll talk about all that in a moment. What adds to it actually? What makes it even more powerful, interesting? What else can we say? A year with a month with presents. We also have an eclipse season, so we have three eclipses coming up. The first one is a lunar eclipse, which happens on the 18th of August. Then we have a solar eclipse, an eclipse of the sun, on the 1st of September, and this is an extremely important eclipse this year. And then after that, we have another lunar eclipse, a moon eclipse, and that happens on the 16th of September. So anyway, so there's the eclipses which add to an already packed sky. So I want to put this month in context, actually, because then you can kind of get an overview of it. We're looking at something that astrologically began in the year 2008 and reaches something of a climax in 2016. And it's kind of like we've all woken up in the wheelhouse of the Titanic, or rather we woke up in the wheelhouse of the Titanic in 2008 with the banking and the financial crisis. So we're kind of like rubbing our eyes, and as we were there in 2008 we saw the iceberg. And 2016 is where we find out if we have missed it. And things are looking good. I think so far we have, yeah. But it's been touch and go for a while. And so we've been right on the edge of some significant changes. And you've only got to look at the Arab Spring, for instance, and everything that's happened in the Middle East to see that, this has been quite a powerful on the edge time. Now, in actual fact, what's been happening in astrology is that we've reached a year where every single one of our outer planets, these big guys, is in contact with another outer planet. Every single one is in what we call an aspect or a relationship with each other. Now, these planets represent archetypal energies, and so what we're saying is that every single one of our archetypal energies is in touch with another archetypal energy. So we've got a lot of chatter going on around us, if you like. There's a lot of movement because when they're all in touch with each other, there's a lot of dynamic stuff happening in the collective unconscious, the very fabric and roots beneath our seemingly overworld, upper world lives. Underneath, great stuff is moving. Big channels and huge tidal forces are happening in the collective undercurrents and unconscious. So it's an enormous year for that reason. And what we have to understand really is, what are these trying to tell us? What are these archetypal energy aspects? What information are they giving us? This actually hasn't happened, by the way, since 1955, so it's quite an important thing, this. Okay, well, we've had something called the Pluto-Uranus square, which is the planet Pluto, the planet Uranus, and they're at a 90-degree angle to each other. So in astrology, a 90-degree angle is called a square, but there you go. So it's the Uranus-Pluto square. That's been in action pretty much since 2008. It really started going in 2012, and it's been in action for 4 years, coming up to 2016. And now that's pretty much fading, although it leaves us changed. It leaves us different to the way we were when it started its work. When in 2012 it started its real work, we were in a different place. One of the main features of this has been its magical potential. The planet Uranus, for instance, is all about ingenuity and human ingenuity. And it is ingenuity really that saved us from the banking crisis. And so with Pluto being all about transformation and evolution, and Uranus being all about ingenuity and bright and intellectual answers to things, what we've been able to do is confidently steer the Titanic away from the iceberg. We've also been able to use this aspect individually, and I've been banging on about it for 4 years, about how you've got to be dynamic, stay in the front, take control, don't shrink into the back of the carriage, because then you won't be at the front steering everything and making use of this absolutely magical dynamic potential. Okay, so that's that one. That's fading a bit now. And so we've been abandoned, if you like, to the other one in the sky, which is the Neptune-Saturn square. Now this is only really kicked in last September, and to be honest, it only really got going in June, and we're midway through it, and by the time we get to September, it's fading. We have the last big hit in September, and then after that it kind of like leaves the stage again. Right now it's center stage, and this has a whole different effect and a whole different feel to the Uranus-Pluto square. This one kind of gets to us in a different way. Now, the last time we had Neptune and Saturn in the same zodiac signs in this, again, a square position, a 90-degree position from each other, it was during the years of the Salem witch trials. Now, I'm mentioning that because the paranoia and fear that happened during those 2 years is exactly the sort of paranoia and fear in context. I mean, in different contexts, we don't have the same religious environment. But in its own context, we have the same sort of paranoia and fear being generated in the collective now. And that's obviously at a collective level with terrorism, and then at a personal level as well. So this is very much in play in August, and so I want to look at how we can deal with this. If we just take the Neptune-Saturn square and literally just give it its keywords, what is its meaning? We're looking at really an examination of principles, morals, ethics, beliefs. And this is why you get issues to do with terrorism, because it's fueled by beliefs and fanaticism, religious beliefs and faith beliefs come into it. And then even in an individual way, on an individual level, we get principles, morals, ethics, beliefs coming up in our relationships, in our exchanges with others. And so we get issues in the news which we can become conflicts or arguments at home. Or we just have different beliefs and principles in how to relate, how relationships should happen, so we can get arguments like that. So it deals really with the invisibilities, the invisible things that we believe in and give us our sense of individuality because we believe what we believe in. Now, the Neptune-Saturn square takes us to the down bit of the wheel, I'll be honest. We get a plunging emotional environment, and most of all, we get a free-floating anxiety. Now, you can either hit the stop button here, or you can go on and listen to what you can do with this and how you can help yourself and make yourself feel a little better. But I'm not going to pull any punches because I think that's silly. I'm not going to pretty this up. I'm going to say it how it is. We do get a free-floating anxiety with it. That's it. This is life, you know. But there is a reason why we get this, and I want you to understand why we get it, because I think it will help you enormously with how you then psychologically accept it and deal with it. It's actually happening because what the sky is doing, it's demonstrating to us that the spiritual is very, very close, and we are grounding it. The spiritual has come close to be grounded. Now, individual people can feel this very, very close spiritual energy, and they're grounding it in their lives, or others are just kind of generally as a collective, part of the ant colony, we're doing that. Now, you might think that this should mean grounding the spiritual. You'll think, oh, that should be all nice and candy floss and pink fluffy clouds and nice spiritual thoughts. I'm sorry, it's not like that. I don't understand the spiritual in that way. Maybe I have a different view to some of the woo-woo people around us, as the Americans say. let me put it another way. When we were born into these bodies and in this dimension, in our universe, in our one verse, we are given protection, if you like, from leaping back into the other realms, into the underworld or into heaven, or whatever you want to call the other realms, the other dimensions. Because the higher intelligence wants us to stay here in these bodies, having these experiences and having our lives, and doesn't want us to leap out of our bodies as soul and spirit and just whiz back to the other realms at the first moment of struggle, the first time we get the first hard bit. If we just thought, oh, enough of this, and we could just die, in effect, leap out of our bodies and disappear back into the wonderful ether and be fused with the great white light again in, you know, happy floating stuff, then we would do so. So the intelligent creator has made it so that when spiritual comes too close, we get frightened. And we get frightened because our nervous systems aren't used to being close to the edge of the spiritual world. So we get a frightening feeling, so we don't leap through it. Our fear of death keeps us alive in this world. See? This is what's happening. Our nervous systems are feeling the nearness of the spiritual, and it's jangling us and making us afraid. And consequently, we're getting this free-floating anxiety. For many people, they don't even know what they're frightened about. They just think, oh, I've got the collywobbles. I don't feel right. So if you are feeling like that, then you can take great comfort from the fact that you're actually grounding the spiritual at that point, if it makes you feel any better, that is. Now, there are some things you can do with this. And what it is you need to give that spiritual a vehicle. You need to give it something that it can do in this universe, in your body, in your surroundings, so that it can be grounded, so you can be a conduit, so it can go through you. And do you know, one of the best ways is just to put your hands together, get on your knees and pray. We used to do that. I remember my grandmother making me do that at the side of the bed at night. I was so irritated. But anyway, that does work because we're in homage. We have an act of homage going on with the body, and that helps. You can eat food. Actually, because it beefs up the body, it reinforces the bodily structure, and that helps the body. You may find, however, that during the month of August, or even now, just before August starts, you might find that you go to the fridge, you're hungry, you open it, and you think, I don't know what I want to eat, and you might just close the fridge door again. It's, again, we're getting disoriented about what our bodies want. So even things like our taste systems aren't working properly. The spiritual is so close. The veil is so thin at the moment. Okay, so eating food helps. Art, anything that you can do to ground the spiritual. So painting, anything creative, sculpture, woodwork, whatever you like. Produce art. Artists are always infused and given great inspiration by the spiritual. Yoga is great. If you do yoga, do yoga. That really works. But what you can do on an individual level, just psychologically, is sit with it, embrace it, find the center of it, the fear, and let it know you, and you get to know it. This is the road less traveled. Everybody thinks that we have to fix this feeling. Maybe you don't have to fix it if you want the higher spiritual experience. Maybe what you have to do is just feel it, know it, and sit with it. Just be with it. Be in mindfulness at that moment. And there you will find a richness that there is no other richness like that in this universe. That is your supreme, extreme spiritual experience, to sit with fear and trust the spirit. It's an amazing feeling. You can, of course, if you like, have a reading or a consultation with me, and everybody always feels much better after one of those. I've got 100% success rate at that. So if you do feel at the moment as if you can't cope with stuff, do get a hold of me, and I'd love to talk to you. So August is all about the stuff that I've just spoken about. It's about dealing with things as they come along. It's about knowing that we're in the middle of something quite extraordinary, and take advantage of the growth, the potential for growth. Consider things, think about things, and feel yourself kind of changing, because we're in a kind of a DNA change here. Literally, DNA is shifting. We're in a period of rapid movement, forward movement. Yes, it's another opportunity for personal growth. Anyway, as I say, watch out for those eclipse things, and maybe sign up for my email subscription service. Then you get bi-daily information about it, and you can get more detailed information about how to work with it. It was wonderful to talk to you, and I look forward to speaking to you again in September. Thank you very much. Bye.